Welcome to Free Beer Friday, powered in part by Classic of Denton.
It's amazing. I can't stop looking at you. Oh, we're back for another edition of Free Beer Friday. Hi guys, your host as always, Ben Easley from the Bearded Monk. Ryan's with me tonight from Red Gap Brewing. Was that nice? Did you like that voice?
The voice is fantastic.
Oh, okay.
It's very soothing.
Oh, nice, nice. We did have last episode. We got into AMR listening, and we were like scratching the mics, whispering in the mics, making noises. Let's not do that tonight. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so for these sweet folks out in the viewership world, and
The real
listening
world.
yeah,
Yeah.
the real world.
Yeah.
Not here in this glass cage of emotions that we're in right now, or these sweet folks that are walking by.
Mhm.
Hi guys. Hey.
And they waved.
They did.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
they can
popular.
hear us as well.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They know what's going on. out
Another
there, too.
dimension to this. Yeah.
You
We could have some
you
fun
just have
here.
to keep up with all this, right? But let these people know. What is Red Gap Brewing?
Well, what it is I think it's hard to describe what it is without saying where we're from. And
Okay.
we're a brewery in Cisco, which is between Fort Worth and Abilene. For those not familiar, it's a town of about 4,000. And
4,000.
Yeah, 4,000. Red Gap was an area that predated Cisco. In the times when the West was bustling with
When the West was the West.
and there's some stories there too.
Oh, nice.
Cisco, before Cisco was Red Gap. And then the train didn't go through Red Gap, but it went through Cisco, made a stop, started a post office, and that combined with the natural disaster, Red Gap basically vanished and Cisco emerged. And so what Red Gap is a brewery that has historic throwbacks to the roots of Cisco, Texas.
Right on. Right on. Well, I've gotten to try some of the beers. What are some of the beers out there that these folks can find?
We have basically four what we consider year-round beers. Of those, our flagship beer is our 1878 lager. A lager for us was very important to do and do right because when we're identifying with West Texas and a Western spirit, it was right for us to do a beer correctly. And an 1878 lager is a beer. It's a beer-flavored beer.
You may be riding the trail. You may be robbing a train.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The
In
train robbing's
1878.
up to you. I mean, we certainly wouldn't condone that. But if that's part of the story, then I think you got to ride that pony.
I'd put a bandana on,
Yeah, I
and
think you
I'd
could.
rob a train on that beer.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, I mean, you got the look.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, the beard goes along. It's so multidimensional. Berry white and train robbing.
Yeah, right on.
There you go.
Okay, so the lager.
Yeah, the lager, flagship beer, most important beer for us at our brewery in Cisco. A beer that sells 3-to-1 over anything else on site, and it's a beer we have brewed so much of, and we know the way it's going to come out before it even starts. Very familiar with that beer, very familiar with what makes that beer taste good, and it is a beer that would go anywhere with anything.
Nice.
Except maybe 30 degrees out in Denton on a Friday night when it's maybe too cold to drink cold beer.
Okay, so maybe not on the cold side.
Yeah, that's
and
the only
that's why
time.
we're drinking Big Daddy Darrell.
There you go.
Back at the bar, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice segue. And then that's our most popular beer outside of the tap room. It's a
Really?
Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great beer. It's
Thanks.
absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Our branding really wasn't to make a big double IPA that was our flagship beer, but we wanted to do it because it was something that we enjoy. And it just happened the more we did it, the more we liked it. And a funny story, my wife Amber, who is typically kind of an intro level craft beer drinker, likes the beer that tastes within the confines of what beer should taste like, didn't like IPAs. And then Big Daddy Daryl came around, and now to this day she'll tell you that that's her favorite beer, which I thought was pretty cool that your wife now drinks a double IPA. That is a beer that's of the style of the East Coast beers of being very tropical, low bitterness, high upfront.
I was about to say
fruit.
Low bitterness. It's not this aggressive, punchy in the teeth, bitter grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And between us, I mean, we didn't really know the right way to brand it. It's an 8.1% IPA. It's too high to be an IPA. It doesn't have a ton of bitterness, which people typically associate with the double, and it doesn't have the haze for a Northeast or Vermont style IPA. So it was hard for us to figure out what the right way to brand it was. We settled on a double, and I'm glad we did, because you at least know that if you're drinking this, one is probably going to be it might be more than where one IPA normally gets you to.
Right on.
You don't want to drink that thing. You don't want to chug that thing on empty belly. You'll feel it real quick.
Oh, big time, big time. If you forget dinner, you're going to remember that beer.
Yeah, you're going to remember right after you finish Big Daddy Daryl. Yeah. So real quick, Big Daddy Daryl. Daryl is a bull, and he's an actual bull who lives on a ranch near Cisco.
This is where the name came from?
Yeah, yeah. So our kids who have seen Daryl just started calling him Big Daddy Daryl. And it's just so cute and awesome that we were like, we got to have a beer named Big Daddy Daryl.
Right on.
And we like it so much that he's on our tap handle as well, too. So there's a mock-up of Daryl on our tap handle, which is a Hereford bull, 2,000-pound Hereford bull that makes the tap handle.
Have you asked Daryl if this is okay?
We don't ask Daryl. We try to avoid eye contact with Daryl. So as long as he doesn't know, I think we'll be all right.
I think you're cool.
Yeah, thanks.
I think you're very cool.
Thanks, man.
Well, it's amazing beer. Absolutely amazing.
Thanks.
I've been don't tell anybody out there, but I tapped it in yesterday.
Oh,
so I've been drinking it for a while.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
That is great to hear. That is great to hear. And
dude, it's a great one. And coming from somebody that drinks continuously all the time. It's absolutely wonderful. You
except
drink it
now,
all day long.
your hands are completely
I know.
free of
Well,
drinks.
we're going to get to that, right? Because we're going to finish this, and we're going to go out and do samples.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if anyone out here wants to join us, they can get free samples.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're going to do some drinking, and then we're going to go back to the Monk.
To maybe set
Do
it
some
up,
more drinking.
we brought a beer that, as of 2 days ago, just got approved to be distributed from the state of Texas.
Wait, what now?
Intro.
What'd you bring? What is this?
A
What?
Slowpoke Joe coffee lager.
Oh.
Well,
You
in Big Daddy
brought
Daryl. We brought
that,
Daryl,
huh?
too. You had to bring Daryl.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
But
The Barry White.
now we're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going real deep on this one.
I'm going deep, and I don't even go deep.
So I won't say that I got a little sneak peek of this thing.
Yeah.
And this is amazing.
All right.
This,
right.
I won't say this. You didn't hear this right now. Oh, camera just switched. There it is. Thank you. That was fantastic camera switch. Yes.
Look at this.
That coffee lager is absolutely beautiful.
It's interesting the way that came together. To this day, I've never heard of a coffee lager.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm telling too many stories, but right across
Let's hear the stories. Bring them.
right across the street from Red Gap Brewing is Slowpoke Farm, and Slowpoke Farm specializes in real naturally sourced food. But the farmer is also a really smart guy who has a coffee addiction. And he roasts his own beans, has been doing it for a while, and now he sells them at Slowpoke Farm. So
wait, this guy's a farmer and he roasts his own beans.
Yeah.
To make his coffee in the morning?
You know it.
Basically?
Yeah. But
I'm really jealous.
now he sells his beans, and they're fantastic. And I'm a coffee guy, and I've always enjoyed a fine cup of coffee, but there's something about this that's
I feel
better.
like it kind of goes hand in hand, too.
I agree.
Yeah, a lot of brewers I know are big coffee fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy rows his own stuff.
Yeah.
You're a big connoisseur.
Big.
You love this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you, what? Like,
What if
I
we
should
put in
make-
beer?
I should
Right?
make a beer out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Coffee, lager.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. So you can drink it year round. It's super easy. And it's got this little coffee kick to it.
Yeah.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is fantastic.
It's a special beer. It's you don't really get beer until it's already down your throat and in your belly, because it's coffee on the nose, it's coffee on the tongue, but it's not strong. It's really I'm excited for you to try it, and hopefully other folks will try it too. It's just a beer that's different.
Come on in.
It's done. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. You usually see coffee with stouts or porters, and
Yeah, folks tend to go the darker stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we called it Slowpoke Joe, and then we wrote a story about Joe, and that's on the can. And then this fictional character also became a coffee beer. Yeah. So
Nice.
Daryl is non-fictional. Slowpoke Joe is fictional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just keep the record straight
So
there.
why a lager? Like a light lager.
Yeah.
This thing is crystal clear from what I saw before.
Yeah.
Why not add it to something dark, something boozy, something already toasty? Why add it to a lager?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I think it goes back to what we first talked about. Is we know our customer, and if we make it into a really big, complex beer, then we're bringing something that may not be familiar to the customer. And we wanted this to be approachable from people who were just brand new to craft beer and liked coffee, and now they can drink a coffee beer that sits in front of them. It's crisp, it's clean. It looks like a beer that they're used to seeing, and then they can drink it and maybe have an experience with that beer that will help them maybe the next time come in and try Big Daddy Daryl, or maybe trust us as brewers so that they're willing to try the next thing that takes them on their craft beer journey.
Kick it up another notch.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, what does this town look like? Like, a lot of the folks you're seeing, you brought this up, they may not know craft.
Yeah.
How has the response rate been to having you here in town?
I appreciate you asking that question, because that was really the foundation of what our business was. Is that we had to connect with the community, and we had to do that right. We had to get them to trust us that we were, one, going to be responsible in the way that we ran a business.
Mm-hmm.
But then two, we're not going to impose our ideas of craft beer or of anything upon them, and let them have a place or a space that they could connect with something familiar. So that familiar was beer that tasted somewhat similar. I like to think a lot better than what they've been drinking up to that point.
Yeah, a little more extreme, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have options, certainly. I mean, we're just not all domestic. We're just not all craft lagers. But in order to do things the way that we felt would be most responsible to our customer, we felt like we had to honor what they brought to the table, do that right, and then have them trust us, and then the journey goes from there.
Nice. And has the response rate been well in town?
Yeah, it has been well. We were the city of the Chamber of Commerce awarded us the Business of the Year last year. In our first year.
I wish I had that. Yes, that is awesome.
But one thing I think is cool is that people come in and they thank us for being there, and there are stories of people come in and go, I don't like beer. What can I do to support you guys? And we do have root beer. So
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
A pint of root beer would be great. Those stories, they carry us on the times when you're grinding. You know that people.
It's been an 18-hour-long day, and you're working, and
And over Thanksgiving and Christmas, where families get together, they'll bring people in, and you can see the pride in whoever it is who lives in Cisco, bringing their family back and going, "We got a brewery."
Nice. That's really cool.
But I think
really cool.
Our building, it was built in the 1890s. It was the oldest building in Cisco. So it's cool. It's historic, and people come in and tell stories about how It used to be a Mott's 5 and Dime. And they told me, there's this story about where this guy, I always remember it. He came in and he could tell me where the baby alligators were in the Mott's 5 and Dime. I think it's where the restrooms are now. But,
And over here, this is where the paddle balls were.
Yeah.
And over there, you can get your bear antacids and everything
that's right.
else.
Yeah,
and
greeting cards. Yeah, that's right.
But that is so cool. Well, and that makes me think, too, that when a craft brewery comes in, you are part of the culture, right?
Yeah.
You don't go into the strip mall down the road. You found somewhere that's culturally significant.
Yeah.
And to kind of dig that. How did you find this building? Like, what led you to this?
I mean, it's always like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There was a building that was for sale across the street, and the 6th guy we talked to about what it would take to renovate that into a brewery tells me there's another guy across the street who his building is for sale. Well, we talked to him and we didn't like his building, but then he tells us that the building next to him isn't on the market yet, but it will be, and that was the building.
Nice.
So the best I can say,
and it's prime for a brewery.
Yeah,
let's do it.
It was planned for us before we even started asking. That's
really.
I can only say that it wasn't necessarily in our hands, but the way it worked out was beautiful.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
And then a couple other things about Cisco that we feel like Cisco has pride to it, not a bad pride, but a pride in where you're from.
Yeah.
Cisco was the location of the first Hilton hotel. So yeah, the big Hilton that's worldwide. The first one was in Cisco, Texas.
Was right there. Yeah.
Maybe not as familiar as the Hilton hotels, but there was a Santa Claus bank robbery, which became a Western tale, occurred at the building that's next door to us in the brewery, and there's a plaque there that monumentalizes that location.
Okay, so I've got to throw this out there. I think it was J. Frank Dobie that wrote a story about that, and I've got the book at home.
There you go.
It was semi-fictionalized, but I think I've got that book at home.
Well, the craziest thing is
I'll go dig that out.
The story's crazier than fiction. Like, you couldn't even make it up. Like, it's gunshots and wounds and people bleeding out and as they're escaping the robbery. Like, it's a good story.
Okay. I don't think I've ever read it. I just have it.
There you go.
At home. Okay. Now I've got to go back and look at this, right?
And it's also beautiful. Like, at some point West Texas fades into tumbleweed and high plains.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere prior to that, you have Dallas and Fort Worth. But in between, Cisco has kind of this beautiful emergence of hills, rolling hills, and green scenery, and vistas that carry just a little bit further than what you're used to seeing as you drive around West Texas. So there's multiple reasons why we think Cisco is a place that could be a destination. Yeah, but ultimately put a brewery there because we believe that it's a great escape from what our eyes typically see, our bodies currently experience in the hustle and bustle of the city. And even for me going out there to brew or to run the business, it is a little bit of a release. When you go out there, it feels different. It feels like home. Yeah.
So giving these folks an idea of what they're going to find beyond the brewery out there. If somebody's driving out of Fort Worth, what are they going to come out there for beyond delicious beer?
Yeah. And
what else is going on in town? Can somebody make a weekend out of it?
Yeah. Yes. There's a cool little bed and breakfast in town. There's great shopping, and I'm not much of a shopper, but if I was, there's the items in the stores just have a significance to them. And there are some antiques. There's also some boutiques. I'm not much of a boutique shopper, but from what I understand, the clothes are really nice.
Okay, nice.
But there's also food options as well. And I mentioned Slowpoke Farm, and they're we partner with them as much as we can. I love what they do, love what they stand for, love the fact that they're bringing food just to its natural state, and they care so much about delivering it to the customer.
And right across the street from
across the street,
right?
Yeah. Don't think I didn't eat there today.
But there's some other restaurants as well?
Yeah, there and all the restaurants, not all, or maybe a little bit of a venture. There's a place called Canyon Road, which has the best ribeye that you'll ever have. And it's in an old, basically a barn, it's somewhat in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's just this place that emerges out of the countryside. It's got dancing, after you eat the ribeye, if you stay long enough, you can dance, and there's a DJ. I mean, it's got everything. What else? What more do you need?
I like this. I think this would be a fun, weekend getaway.
For sure.
I like this a lot.
There you go.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen next with the brewery? You guys are pretty young right now, right?
Yeah, we're a year and a half old.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
So have you thought about the future and where you want to take this?
Yeah.
Oh.
All the time. But
as a business owner, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
Oh, what's next?
Where are we going to be 10 years from now? We ultimately, because we started on connecting, what we do next will be connecting at a higher or deeper level.
Okay.
So right now we self-distribute, and what was important to us was to bring our mission and our values all the way to the end user. And like you, Ben.
Or who we're serving the beer to, right?
Yeah. So we want that to be a trail that's marked with people who recognize that Red Gap cares about them. We feel like when we do it for connection, when we do these things because we care about relationships, that there's a deeper meaning behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
So right now, from a business that's run by two families, and for the most part, we're running pretty hard in that business. Reminding ourselves the purpose behind all this isn't necessarily so that we can grow Red Gap. It's so that we can be connected to more people and connect with them in a way that they haven't experienced before.
Right on.
So what the future holds is going to be slow growth, because if we're pouring ourselves into growth in a certain area, it's going to be difficult to maintain that level of connection. And I think we will know, and I think at this point we've done a nice job at growing at the right rate, that we can grow and respond so that we don't ever lose sight of what's important while we're chasing the next thing. Because connection's important to us, we've partnered, we've franchised the name Red Gap, and there's a tap house opening in Brownwood, which is
seriously?
Yeah. Which is basically just mimics what we do in Cisco. At our home brewery, there's now a tap house that, if you didn't necessarily know that we weren't connected, you may not. You're going to have the same feel there that you have in Cisco. And we would like to do that more, replicate that in more places, so that other people have the hands-on feel of what it's like to be in Red Gap Brewing Company.
To know this tap room and this environment.
That's right.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so very cool.
And that's something that wasn't in the business plan. That's something that happened. And
just sprang out.
It happened because we realized that we thought that we did the connection well. But when we're the ones doing all the connection, you're somewhat limited by the places that you can be. So partnering with people who have the same mindset of what we do, and valuing that, gives us an opportunity to be in more places and for more folks to grab a pint at Red Gap locally.
Right on. That's really cool. That is really cool.
And I wish I could take credit for that, but that's my business partner Jason who came up with the idea. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful the way
he was like, "Let's try this out and see what happens."
Yeah, and we're like just waiting for people to come to us, and then somebody did.
That's cool, man. Well, and somebody else saw the vision, right?
That's right.
They were like, "We kind of want to carry this forward."
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Absolutely.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so folks that may not be able to make it to one of these tap rooms, especially folks here in Denton.
Yeah.
What can they find here in town? What's around?
Yeah, so I don't even know if we've talked about it yet. We've packaged 4 beers. Five beers in cans. And we haven't even talked about all of them, but the 1878 lager and the Big Daddy Duro we've talked about, and then Slowpoke Joe Coffee Lager. Those are all in cans. And the list in Denton of places that you can get those is large. And I want to say thank you, honestly, for you allowing us to be here so that we could communicate more with Denton, which is an area that has accepted us better or more exclusively than any other area.
Right on.
I think we were originally a little bit intimidated by the scene in Denton because y'all are like so cool. Everybody's just cool, and we're like,
well,
we're middle-aged parents.
Yeah.
But it's been the opposite of that. And we almost feel like we get the VIP treatment here. So
that's cool.
I wouldn't say that every establishment in Denton carries Red Gap, but most of them do. Most of them have one of the varieties that we have on the table.
That's cool. That's really well. And what are the other? You had mentioned there were 5. We haven't talked about 2 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you.
Yeah.
As part of our big series, we also have Big Chief Bach and Big Dam Porter. We come from close families, and Jason's dad goes by the name Big Chief. And if you ever gripped his hand and shook it, you know exactly why. He has a presence about him that at first is a little intimidating, but once you get to know him, he's a very, very strong man who's very assured of himself, and he's got a big heart. And as that becomes apparent, and it doesn't take long for you to see it. He's just a great guy. And when we were creating beers, we also have a beer named after my dad. It's not one of the ones that we have canned, but it's the Big Chief Bach. He goes by Big Chief, and it's Big Chief Bach. It's for him. It's the beer that he drinks, and
right on, and that's his beer.
It's his beer. That's right. That's right. We wanted to do a can with an image from him when he was younger, but we couldn't find the image or the painting that exists, and then we decided just to go with our typical branding, which is our historic kind of old west-looking Red Gap shield. But to talk about the Bach a little bit, this is craft beer hasn't always been associated with Bachs, and we knew that there was a style that certain people who were just maybe getting into craft beer would like. They'd like to see something darker, something richer. Well, Bach is lagered just like a lager. So, you're going to take out some of the complexity that the yeast gives it, and you're going to have this clean, malty beer. And it was never part of our plan. We just did it once. We came up with the recipe, we brewed it, and it's one of the few beers that we haven't changed since day one. It came out right. I didn't consider myself a Bach drinker, so when we started talking about a Bach, I wasn't real excited about it.
A little hesitant.
And now it's like my favorite beer. It has just the right amount of spicy hops, a little bit of zesty hops on the back end that just cuts that malt a little bit, so it doesn't taste like you're taking a malt bomb. And then it's got this dry finish that I thoroughly enjoy. Love that beer.
Nice. And then what was the last one?
Big Dam Porter.
Big Dam Porter.
Yeah. So that's the last of our Big Dam series, or our big series. But Cisco used to have the world's largest dam, and then so this was like back in the 1950s. It was like biggest hollow concrete dam. I'm going to mess that up, but let's just think of this big dam.
Go look it up.
Yeah, that's right.
The key.
Yeah. I probably should have. Anyway, so the dam doesn't exist anymore. Not that same dam. And but the phrase big dam came about, and also in Cisco is a very proud high school football heritage, and they're known as the Lobos. So the big dam lended to now being called the Big Dam Lobos. So it's an expression that in Cisco is very common, Big Dam. So we wanted to grab that a little bit and then name a beer after it. So the porter is it's a rich and roasty porter that's got just enough. It's got just a little bit of cocoa nibs in it, so you can taste some of the subtlety that comes out from chocolate. But you would never say this is a chocolate beer.
I was about to say it doesn't sit on you like this big heavy stout. Yeah.
Black Butte Porter from Deschutes has always been a classic beer, and I would say that that was the beer that gave us the inspiration for this. And then it's a little bit bigger. It's a little it's a 6.7% porter, and it has 6.7% roast and characteristics with it. And it's a great quote unquote dark beer for your West Texas beer drinker who is entering into that. It's
not going to turn them off. It's not going to throw them off.
Yeah.
Like a bourbon barrel aged
Exactly.
or a black chocolate, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's approachable enough that you could have this without being so familiar with the characteristics that come from a deep, heavy porter or stout.
Right on. Good voice, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I learned it from Barry White.
Well, what are we doing samples of tonight? Yeah, because if some of these folks may not know, if you come down tonight, we're going to serve some free samples.
And so we talked about 2 days ago, we received state approval to distribute Slowpoke Joe Coffee Lager. This is the beer that is so unique that I don't think you'll ever have something similar. So it'll be memorable.
Big time.
And now you can't get anywhere else except for those 6-packs that I have on the table
right here.
Right
tonight.
Tonight.
Oh,
That's
yes.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And Big Daddy Durrell. Big Daddy Durrell is, it's our double IPA, and if coffee lagers aren't your thing, then I bet double IPAs are.
It's a solid double IPA, man. And that's what we have on draft.
At Beer Monk, yes, sir.
Oh, that's been so good.
Thank you.
It's been so good.
Yeah, the Barry White voice.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's been so good.
That's good.
Well, so should we do some drinking?
I think we should.
Is that the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you guys want to join us, we're about to serve samples up. We're going to do some drinking. And then we're going to go back to the Bearded Monk. Do some more drinking.
I think so.
And it's the Panoply benefit show. Like, we kind of walked away from this tonight.
To do
the show.
Here we are.
So we're going, once we get done here, we're going to walk back into a concert.
Walk to the Bearded Monk.
Yeah.
I love it.
We can walk and drink, too.
I don't know.
So we can do some drinking, and then walk and drink, and then do some more drinking.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've got this planned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I plan this out pretty thoroughly.
Okay.
Well, I do
I
it
feel like you might have done this
too.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do some drinking.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys, come join us right now down at the Welcome Center, and we'll do some drinking.
Slowpoke Joe.
Let's do this.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.